Hello, hello, Rise and Thrivers. Welcome to Monday, February 26th. It is 8:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is the last episode of February as we close out self-love, self-care, and boundaries. So before we start this episode, let me just remind you that we are Rise and Thrive together. We are a vibrant community out to committed to educate and empower and equip you to get the results that you want through real talk and real actions so you can have real results that you want now. Make sure that you follow us on our Facebook page, Rise and Thrive Together, our Instagram page, Rise and Thrive Together, and our YouTube channel, Rise and Thrive Together, as well as if you have Roku TV, hey, have some fun. Download Laws of Life with Blanca, and you'll find us right there live for you in right after the show, like an hour or so later, or catch the replay. All right, well, here we're going. Ready? We've got a jam-packed night tonight, a really special guest, and I'm really excited to have her there. And before we just finish up, I want to bring on and say my beautiful good evening to my sister, Raquel. Hey, sis, how you doing?
Good. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm excited for tonight's show. It's going to be powerful and it's going to make a difference, I think, for a conversation that we have not yet talked about on this show for almost a year that we've almost been on.
Yeah. And as a result of tonight's conversation, sis, what's the disclaimer? We have a disclaimer for our listening audience.
Yes. So, guys, tonight we have sensitive material, that content that we're going to discuss. So, I am saying viewers' discretion be advised. Remember, it is okay to speak up and seek help because we all deserve to feel safe and supported. And there are people out there that care about you and want to help you if any of this information kind of triggers something for you. And we have an 800 number for you, 1-800-656-HOPE. So with that disclaimer being there, which will be rolling and scrolling for you the whole entire show, I'm going to bring it back to my sister Raquel so she can share about our guest and what is going on for this evening.
So tonight we have a new author, Regina Lafrance. She has come a long way since leaving her native small village in Southwestern Europe, a place she called home until tragedy struck. Drawing from her direct experience, her semi autobiographical novel, Shayla, is a depiction of the events that happened when she was violently raped as a young girl by a pedophile priest in her village. Her tell all book further speaks to the deep seated wounds and trauma that have followed into her adult life while striving to reinvent herself and find healing. Shayla is LaFrance's sharing and ultimate hope for others who have been molested and suffered from abuse. Passionate in the resolve of this issue, LaFrance has made it her ongoing effort to prevent the unthinkable from happening to more innocent children. She resides in North Carolina with her husband Dan, a retired fire lieutenant. Both are transplants from Boston, where they met. Regina, we'd love to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us here on Rise and Thrive Together. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Regina and Raquel, for having me.
We absolutely are touched by the fact that you are willing to share what took place and what happened to you as a child. So thank you for being brave enough to share your story, and hopefully that'll inspire, encourage, and motivate others to find
Thank you
peace,
so much.
share their story. So we truly appreciate you.
You're good. Don't keep on touching that camera.
Oh, I
Regina,
just said my
nope.
volume has a. Okay.
That's okay.
You're beautiful right there. We got you.
It's perfect. We are live. So we just really want to, again, say thank you. And the floor is yours. This is your opportunity right now. Don't touch a camera. Let it be, girl. Let's take a deep breath together. Ready? And the floor is yours. This is your opportunity. We were touched, moved, and inspired when your beautiful publicist reached out to us. And then we got to spend some extraordinary time with you. And we we knew we had to have you on here. This is the first time that we are talking about some very sensitive material, but important material, both from Raquel's heart, my heart, definitely your heart, and for everyone out there that has possibly suffered what you have gone through or know somebody who has suffered through that. So the floor is yours, Regina. We want to start with hey, you know, how did this whole entire thought about bringing this book up? What had you bring the book up and why now?
When I was 52 years old in 2015, I was working on a client as a massage therapist, and she was unusually tensed up. And I asked her what was going on. And she told me that her little girl didn't want to go to summer camp that year. And she was upset because the little girl just cried and said, "Mommy, Mommy, please don't make me go. I don't want to go." And she said that when she asked her over and over again why she didn't want to go, the little girl just cried and went into a panic, and she didn't want to go. At that moment, I had a vivid memory of me saying to my mom, "Mommy, Mommy, please don't make me go. I don't want to go to music lessons anymore." And my mother said I had to go because they believed, my mother and my father believed it was great for me to learn how to play an instrument. Meanwhile, I was being molested by the local priest that was supposedly teaching me music. And for a whole year, he did very, very bad things to me. And then one time, he came to our house and he asked my parents if I could go over to his house to help his elderly mother in house chores. And my parents said that yes, absolutely, I'd go there. And then that very night, he violated me sexually, and he attacked me brutally, physically, and I remember it all. And I always remembered the abuse. What I didn't remember was me crying to my mother to not let me go.
Mhm.
So when I had that vivid memory, I immediately became very nervous, and my heart was pounding, and I had to terminate the session. And that night was the first night that I told my best friend what had happened. But even then, I was very shameful, and I didn't want to tell my best friend that it was me. I said it was a little girl in the island.
Mhm.
It wasn't until later that I told her it was me. And at that time, during that session with my client, I was so upset that the little girl was in distress that I sat down and I started writing my story to create awareness to people raising children to keep them safe. If a child cries and says, "I don't want to go, Mommy, please don't make me go," we need to pay attention. Why is it that child doesn't want to go? When I started writing my book, I cried a lot, and I was very, very upset because I was bringing forward a secret I've kept for 40 years. Even my own husband didn't know. And when I did that, I realized that it helped me let that burden go of keeping that secret and being and feeling so shameful. Because when I was little, my parents had a nickname for me, and it was Ladybug, because I was very dark and very small. And my mother used to say I was the cutest ladybug she had ever seen. But when the priest was violating me and hurting me badly, he called me cockroach, and he told me that I was no ladybug and that my parents would never believe me. And I believed him. So all those years, I actually used to see a cockroach on the ground or whatever, and always used to think that it was the ugliest animal out there, the ugliest insect, and that's how I felt about myself. I have a scar here on my face that it happened the night at the cemetery. And this scar for many years, along with thinking that was like a cockroach, I didn't like my face ever for all that time. And I lived a life of chaos. I always achieved goals on my personal life, good jobs and education, and I even bought my own house. But inside, I always felt sad, and I always felt unworthy and unattractive. So when I started writing my book, I discovered self love. And I wrote my book in hopes to reach out to people to create awareness to keep children safe. But then I discovered that it helped me. And I used to think self love was going to the salon and get your nails done and get a massage or a facial or have your highlights in your hair. Self love, like a spa day, a me day. That's what I thought self love was. And then I discovered that self love began that day that I looked in the mirror and I said, Self, you are enough. And that came from writing my book and letting that burden out, that secret. And of course, people that knew I was writing and why, they were very supportive and they offered me a lot of love. And I began to like who I was. I no longer had to be the center of attention. I no longer had to be involved in either drama or gossip or in the workplace. I always had to be right there in the middle. And I always had to side with the mean girls so they would like me in high school.
Mm.
And now self-love for me, it means having self-respect, having boundaries, knowing when to say yes or no, do more listening and more observing and less talking, and mean what you say and say what you mean. And I've discovered that when we do that, people around us, they know what to expect and they actually respect that and they admire that. So my original mission was to create awareness for children, and that's still my priority. But equally, I've discovered that so many people, men and women, are hurt still, and they don't know how to go in and embrace who they are and have the courage and the confidence to go ahead and be who you intended to be. And if you enjoy doing certain things when you were little, most likely you enjoy them now. But society and people in general have hurt us so badly, whether it's family or suffering trauma as a child, whether it's a parent or an abuser or a predator, or in a workplace, it could be a supervisor who's a narcissist. I don't know. It could be anything. It could be a spouse, or it could be your own parents, your siblings. If you have people in your life that bully you and tell you that you are nobody or you're never going to accumulate to anything, you need to step aside, and those people are not the ones that are going to empower you and encourage you. So I want to be the voice for those people. I want to go out there and I want to tell anyone that believes that they are not worthy. I want to sit down with them and say, you are worthy. You are enough. It's a birthright to have self love and respect and boundaries. Unfortunately, for us that are hurt or that were hurt, we don't know how to do that because it's like learning a new language. It's
Mm.
a it's a life changing. It's a change of life. It's just something that we never even knew that we could do. At least for me, that's how it happened. So that's why I'm here to tell the people that are one raising children to be very, very aware of the signs, and the people that are hurt still, that have scars, emotional scars, what I did to get to where I am today.
Wow, that's incredible. And as you mentioned signs, what signs? I mean, the little girl in your book was outright. She said, "I don't want to go," and it's a place that she used to enjoy. right? And
Yes.
now all of a sudden it's like, I don't want to go. The mother is confused. What signs should people, parents, primary caregivers, what
Yes.
should they look for? Because in my head, I'm thinking it's something specific, other than if your child says, I don't want to go to a place they used to enjoy going to. So, can you share some signs with us?
Yes, I will. And before that, I'm just going to say that this. If my mother had had a person like me advise her to watch out for signs, I know deep in my heart my mother would not have let me go.
Mm,
But there was nobody to tell her, oh, the child is crying. That child doesn't want to go for a reason. So the signs are children are so innocent. They want to go anywhere and they want to go do the thing. They just want to go have fun, laugh, and play and play and play and learn. And that's why we have to make sure children don't go with strangers because they are so innocent, they'll go with anybody because they're going to go play. That's it. That's all they need to know. If other than when the child is sick, of course, they don't feel like going to school. That's fine. I think anybody would understand that. But if the child said, Mommy, Daddy, please don't make me go. I don't want to go. Why don't you want to go, sweetie? I just don't want to go. Please don't make me go. The child does not have the communication skills to say, I don't want to go because the abuser or the person that is mistreating them may be telling them, don't you be telling your mom and dad because if you tell your mom and dad, they're going to give you away. They're going to send you to I don't know to somewhere. Your mom
right.
and dad don't like you. That's why they bring you here. That kind of thing. Or we're going to hurt your mom and dad, or we're going to hurt your little sister if you say anything, or you're going to be punished if you say anything. So the child is not going to say anything, but the child is going to cry. If you're a teacher and the child is falling asleep in the classroom, that's a sign. If the child is shy or shies away from playing with the other children, that's a sign. Obviously, if the child has bruises or something like that, I think we all know that. It's the signs of, Mommy, don't make me go. Why don't you want to go? I don't want to go, Mommy, please don't. And the child cries and hangs on to the mother or the father or whoever is in charge. There's a reason, there's something going on.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, I've been blessed, Shayla. I got your book. The audience, if you're unaware, and those who know me, I have a 7-year-old daughter. I wrote to Shayla. I finished that book in a day and a half. I was, and I, a former social worker for 20 years, removing children from homes, placing them in adoption agencies, terminating parents' rights for 20 years, in and out of that system. And I was a total different person that day. And I was like, I can pride myself like with, really with, courage and, and honoring myself to say, hey, I'm a really good mom, right? Like, hey, I know this. I sat with my husband. My daughter is beautiful. She plays up in her room for an hour, and we went through everything. And that day, and moving forward up until this moment before I came up here, I just witnessed her personality, and that's what I would say that I get, right? Like, your child, like through your book, it was like there. And then so many times I don't want to go. And we're like, you got to go, right? Like, I was like, no. Like, if she doesn't want to go, it's only because of us, because we're like, like, pawn her off, right? Even, I don't care who it is, anybody who I try, like, no. What is that about? Take that moment, take that time, and hear what she has to say. And trust me, she'll say, I don't want to because blah, 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 blah. But if it's, I don't want to, and then, like you said, hold you in tighter, and then, like,
Mm-hmm.
that facial expression, that difference. And it's amazing what you said in school, because I honestly went in my daughter's school a few months ago and saw the signs that you were talking about. A child that
Yes.
was sleeping, a child that was at one moment here, and then when somebody came near a certain way, and I got to speak to the teacher. So it's those subtle signs, guys. It's the subtleties of, and of your child, knowing that one minute they're super excited, and then the next minute they're not the next day and the next day, and then I'm not hungry, and then I'm not going to their room, and then like that. So I really
Yes.
appreciate that. Your book was life changing again to the next level for me. I'm so grateful and so honored that you are here and sharing this.
Thank you so much. And for parents that or anyone raising young ladies or young men too, the young ladies 12, 13, 11, 12, 13, 12, that is a critical age. If there's something going on at home that mom and dad may be too busy, mom and dad may have a stressful job, mom and dad maybe even be talking about a divorce and the child doesn't know, or whatever. Mom and dad could be sick. One of them could be very sick. The child doesn't know. But the child is going to feel that energy, and that child is going to withdraw from them. And if that child goes in the room and locks that door or closes that door and starts to decline in school, the grades are going down. That child doesn't want to play sports anymore. That child is going to go out and is going to look for attention and love someplace else at a very, very young age.
Mm.
So be very, very aware that is a critical age. If the child was happy all the way to 12 years old, and all of a sudden now the grades are down and something is going on, you need to take the focus off yourself and find out what's going on in that child's life. Because
So
that
let,
young
let, let
girl,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
No, I was going to just finish that young girl or boy, they are going to go look for attention. Boys might be with drugs or alcohol or something of that nature, and the young girl might be falling into the arms of a predator for the time being because they're looking for attention.
So, in that vein of if you notice your child's behavior, demeanor, personality has changed, how, as a parent, do you approach that subject?
I would recommend that the parents take a look of what they're doing inside the home. Are they arguing? Are they too busy with their stressful jobs? Did something in the household change? If something did not change in in a household, I would go right into bullying at school. Um, because bullying at schools can make a young lady or a young boy be traumatized for life. Are they too heavy? Are they too skinny? Do they have acne? All these things can be traumatizing for a young lady's life or a young boy's life. And then things change at home, and
Mm.
before you know, that child is going down the wrong path.
So what
Wow.
would you say with
Oh, as a
regards to,
parent.
yes, yes, please.
So I was saying, so as a parent, I would take a look of what am I doing? Am I still doing the same thing? Did something for me changed? I'm stressed out? Is my child suffering as a result? I would just take time and not just like mother daughter go to get their nails done. No, you need to take time, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I don't know. Spend as much time with that child as possible and gain their trust. You have to gain their trust. You have to speak with them. You have to open your heart and lower yourself to their level so they can understand and trust that you coming in nice and easy, not an attack on a child. You're going to be grounded. I'm going to take your cell phone. Oh, you that's it. You're not going out tonight. You have to come in easy and gain your daughter or your son's trust so they can tell you what's going on. That's how I would do it.
Okay. I appreciate that. Now, the title of your book is Shayla. Where did that title come from?
Well, Shayla is a name that I like. So I went to Portugal to visit my mom one time, and I was talking to her about a woman I knew named Sheila. And my mother, not speaking English, she could not say Sheila. She kept saying Shayla. I'm like, no, mom, it's Sheila. She said, I know, Shayla. And I said, that's it. If I ever have a daughter or a cat or dog, I'm gonna name him Shayla. And here we are. I named my character Shayla, and I like that name a lot.
Hmm.
That is a beautiful cover, by the way.
Thank
Yes.
you.
It
So when you have
absolutely
a
is.
minute, thank you. When you have a minute, go on my website. lafrancemedia.com. And we have on the gallery, we have a tab there that it shows the cover of this book from when I started to now. And there's one picture that I'm just laying there with my eyes open and there's no life to me. And then
Mm.
there's another one that I have a black rose over my mouth. And I just felt that I didn't have a voice for so many years. But what happened was when I actually sat down and wrote the book and I learned that self-love is a beautiful thing, and it was not easy, but it really wasn't that difficult. I learned to speak English at the age of 18. So self-love was like that. It was like learning a new language and learning your new you. And so the cover was harsh, the ones that I liked in the past, but that's how I felt. I
Mm.
was very, very raw,
Mm.
very quick to defend myself, always on the run. Um, Jobs, jump from job to job because I didn't like the way that someone spoke with me, or I would just get involved in gossip because I wanted to be everyone's friend and then get myself in a little pickle because I said something about this one or about that one. And when I learned self-love and self-respect and boundaries and I started to enjoy who I am, everything changed. And I didn't want those covers anymore for my book.
Mm.
Wow.
I haven't thought. I know we only have a couple. This went so fast and it was so beautiful. Um, I'm curious, and I'm just curious for other people who might have this, thought as well. So I'm very clear. You went through a very deep healing with the self love and the
Yes.
boundaries and that. What about forgiveness? Like, where are
Oh,
you at for your own forgiveness? And I know you had, we spoke a lot about your mom, but she did have a dad, and they were involved. Where are you at that? We don't have much time, but I would love to just
yes.
a little bit about that.
So I did. My dad was a huge part of my life. In my book, he comes in strong as far as what happened with my relationship with my dad. Unfortunately, at the age of 10 years old, everything got lost because he didn't like who I was, how I became as a teenager. And I lived my life of chaos without my dad from that time on. Forgiveness for me, some people ask, well, did you forgive the priest? And I don't know. What I do know is that in 2017, I went back home and I visited some of the places where he hurt me very badly. And at that moment, I had a talk with whoever. I just said, you don't belong in my life anymore. You do not rent any space in my heart, in my mind, and in my soul. You are gone. I release you. Not
Mm.
for you, for me. I am retiring my victim badge, and I am now wearing my triumph badge proudly. And when something is retired, it is retired. It doesn't work anymore. So now I cannot say, oh, I'm a victim. No, I am a retired victim. I get triggers all the time. When they arrive, I recognize them and I tell myself, remember this, you've already dealt with this. You do not own that obligation of being sad or being traumatized all the time. Your
Mm.
victim badge is now retired. So I forgave myself for having sabotaged myself all those years.
Mm.
And the way that I did it was self, it was not your fault. It is never, ever a child's fault. Never a child's fault. So once I learned that, and once I was able to go inside and heal my inner child that was still hurting, this appeared. Happiness and freedom appeared, and I like it a lot. And that's another thing that I want to move forward, and I want to make it be known to all people that are still hurting that they too can do it.
Mm. That's so amazing. I love the fact that you retired. That victim mentality. I think that
Yes.
was so incredible. Regina, tell us how we can get this book. Where can we get it?
Right now, it's hot on Amazon. I am number 4 on child abuse books. Yay!
Congratulations!
The
Woo!
I know the numbers are coming up a little bit. I still not able yet to see my total numbers because they're still setting up my author's account and all that. But Amazon, Shayla, Regina Lafrance, or Shayla Lafrance, because there's a child's book out there called Shayla. So Shayla Regina Lafrance, and go to my website, lafrancemedia.com, and you can read about everything that happened. You can read about the details of what the priest did to me after the fact. Um, and we just don't have enough time to go through all that because today we want to talk about celebration of self love, celebration of worth, celebration of we are enough. It's our
Mm,
birthright. And this I had to learn. And I never stop. Think positive, read beautiful, positive things, and spread the love. It starts inside.
wow. And with
Mm.
that, there is nothing else to say other than thank you so much, Regina. Thank you for the work that you put in you to grow and help others. We appreciate you.
Thank
And
you.
remember, guys, together we can rise and
That's
thrive.
right.
Till next
That's
time.
right. Thank you so much.